so far, and that last lap, not good enough to advance. So that was a 110.9.
What's that? Well, good morning, everybody. Both here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Media Center and also live on YouTube and on Zoom. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports with you on this Brickyard Crossover Weekend, which is a phenomenal event in itself. But we're not here to talk about this weekend. We're here to talk about something very exciting about the future. I think some of you may know about this already, but to make it official, Sebastian Bourdais, one of the most recognisable names in motorsport, whether it be IndyCar, sports cars, V8 supercars, whatever it might be. President of IMSA, Mr. John Doonan, and the President of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mr. Doug Bowles. Doug, the honour is all yours to take it away and reveal to the world what we're talking about today.
Well, thank you, Lee, and thank you, everybody, for being here. This is an exciting moment here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So I was walking over here this morning. I don't know how many times John Doonan and I have talked on the phone over the last couple of years since he's taken over at IMSA, and even before that, having several conversations with IMSA about bringing IMSA back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Early on, after Roger Penske bought the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, he asked a lot of us at the team, what are some of the things that we think is important to grow the Indianapolis Motor Speedway brand and to connect with race fans around the world. And we talked a little bit about sports cars and a smile on Roger's face, and Roger's been a real catalyst in helping us get to a point where we could sit down and finally get IMSA to come back. So we're here this morning to announce that the IMSA WeatherTech Championship will come back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 2023 in September 15, 16, and 17 here on our road course as a standalone weekend, which we cannot wait to have happen. John, it's been a pleasure to work with you. We are excited to get cars back here for the first time since 2014 when we did it on a Friday as part of our NASCAR weekend. And Sebastian Bourdais, who's won 37 IndyCar races, he's won at Daytona, he's won at Le Mans, he's won at Sebring. He won our first sports car race here in 2012, so having him sit with us is pretty cool. But we are really, really excited to have the IMSA Battle on the Bricks in September 2023. And in 2024 and 2025, we got a little bit of a twist. We're gonna make it a special sports car race, but next year, alongside NBC, we'll be live in a 2-hour and 40-minute race here at the Speedway. But I'm so excited to do this. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Makes two of us, for sure. This is a great day for IMSA, both for our partners who've been begging to come to this market. It's a great market for activation, so we plan to fill the midway with hopefully all 18 auto manufacturer displays. Our race teams, our manufacturers want to compete here. We have 18 manufacturers in IMSA competition. We're thrilled to bring the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship to the Sunday of that weekend, the 17th, live on NBC network television, so we're thrilled with that. Also, our Michelin Pilot Challenge. We're going to, as Doug said, put a twist on it. They're going to run a 4-hour endurance race here on Saturday of that weekend, the 16th. Daylight into darkness in preparation for what we're going to do in the next 2 years of 24 and 25 and run a long-distance IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship race. But for our manufacturers, like Chevrolet, they've done so much here at the Speedway. They were encouraged to come back. Mr. France, Ed Bennett, myself worked with Doug and his team to make this a reality. But what I'm most excited about, frankly, and I've been coming to this place since I was 7 years old, is to see this infield packed with fans, camping, families. We're gonna pack this place, and we're really excited about this opportunity to bring all of IMSA back. But in the end, it's about the fans that we engage with here on site and on NBC.
Sebastian, for you, for everything that you've accomplished in your career, and you think back to 2012 when you were victorious here at that first Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series event, but for now, for IMSA to be coming back for where you are at your stage in your sports car career, what does this represent?
Well, it's a huge honor. Obviously, it's the only time I've ever kissed the brake. It was backwards, but I still enjoyed every minute of it. It was a great memory. I think, if I remember well, we went through the field twice, once in the wet, once in the dry. So it was an amazing memory, and yeah, I can't wait to come back with Cadillac and the new era, obviously, of sports car racing. So yeah, super excited.
John, this is pretty cool with everything that's going on in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. The GTP era is almost upon us, this new era within sports car racing. The 2024 rules for GT3 competition. I mean, there's a lot going on. This just adds to that list. But if you detach it for a moment, it's got to be gratifying to say that you're coming back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
It sure is. What this facility means for our sport is massive. A lot of folks have been using the word golden era, and the GTP cars now have all been out testing, so that chapter is open. We can't wait to have them compete for the first time at the Rolex 24. That is huge. As you say, GT racing, it's going to be a battle on the bricks come 2024. We already have great GT racing, but it's going to get better. The Ford Mustang is coming to GT3 to battle with the Corvette C8R, so we're really excited about that. And in addition, to be able to put on a daylight into darkness event here next year and for the following two, I think that is another real treat for the fans to be able to come here and race in darkness. And thanks to Mr. Penske and his team, we got a good read on that with their LMP2 testing here. So we know what we need to do to light this place up. And frankly, it's not much. When you have the scoring pylon and the Jumbotrons on, this place is pretty well lit up.
And Doug, you know, the Rolex 24 does an amazing job of it's a collaborative effort, and we get, you know, drivers from all disciplines of the sport that we love coming together. But for you and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and this Brickyard crossover weekend, right, so much of the sport is segmented, and we're doing this and we're doing that. But this is a beautiful collaborative effort this weekend. That's emblematic of that. So how important is it for you to get sports cars back here at the Brickyard?
I think it's really important to get it back, and I do think the collaborative effort for all of us, whether it's NASCAR, the NTT IndyCar Series, or it's IMSA, we all compete with each other at some level, but really at a bigger level, we all want each other to succeed, and to the extent that we can leverage that together to be successful, I think is really important. That's why I'm excited about this weekend. I think this is a great weekend for IndyCar fans to see NASCAR and for NASCAR fans to experience IndyCar. If you're going to do those two together at one track, it needs to be here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So I do love that weekend. You know, one of the other conversations, John and I had a lot of them. One of the other conversations I've had an awful lot since 2014 is with Jim Campbell and Sean Finnegan, the folks at Chevrolet. A great weekend for me is when a Chevrolet wins in Indy and wins in NASCAR, because they're our official vehicle. And one thing that hasn't been here in the last few years is the Corvette. So to get the C8 here, we can showcase that partnership we've got with Chevrolet. The other thing I'm really excited about, we've never really done this before. We're going to camp the entire infield. Nice. We're going to make it a proper sports car race. So our fans who are interested in coming and camping, we're going to camp this place like it's never been done before. Usually, if you want to camp at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you need to be a driver or an owner, but we're going to blow this thing out and make it a proper sports car race, and that's one of the things that John and Roger and Mark and I all talked about. Let's make this special for our fans as well, so I really cannot wait for this thing.
Well, just coming in here, I was chatting with Bud Denker, and off the heels of Iowa last weekend, Bud said that was highlighted to us last weekend. We can't just have a race, we have to have an event. So this Battle on the Bricks is going to be an event?
Absolutely. We're going to make this a huge event. You know, next year it'll be a great experiment as we roll into what will be a longer race in 24 and 25. And just encouraging people to put it on your calendar. There are some big weekends at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and this is certainly going to be one of them.
We've got some folks on Zoom waiting to ask questions, and you folks can here as well. But before we do that, Seb, multi-class, how's it going to race? How is the IMSA WeatherTech Series going to race here on the Brickyard circuit?
I mean, obviously the straight is a huge opportunity to clear some traffic, and you know, this place is pretty spectacular. I think it's fairly wide, so it's always, you know, a good factor to have an event that's pretty smooth when you have a class interaction, and I think it'll be spectacular and great for all parties involved.
Kate Davis from IndyCar's PR team is manning the computer, and we first up have John DeGeese on Zoom from 365 Sports Car 365. And for all of you on Zoom, if you want to ask a question, just digitally raise your hand, and Kate will notice that and take care. But John, ask away. Ask your question.
Yeah, a question for John. What classes will be in this race, and also what is the target race length for 2024?
Well, we'll announce our official schedule next Friday at our annual State of the Sport, and it'll showcase in that the full class structure. But we do plan to bring the full WeatherTech complement of classes. Again, more details a week from today on that. Doug and Mr. Penske and his team and Mr. France and Ed Bennett and I have been talking about the future race length. So more information to come on that. We've got, as Doug mentioned in his opening, some special twists on that, but it will be an endurance race for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship.
So just to confirm, that would be a 5th Michelin Endurance Cup round in 24?
More information to come.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good for the follow-up question, though, John. Well done. Any questions from here in the room? If you've got any questions. Yes, go for it.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This question's for Doug. You talked about lights, and it sounds like you're going to be adding lights. Wondering if you can elaborate on that, and then I have a follow-up.
Yeah, so John mentioned we did have a test here last fall where we had a couple of sports cars running. We ran into the night a little bit. Really, with our video boards, this place lights up really, really well. You almost don't need any lights for sports car racing, and obviously they're equipped with lights. There may be a couple of corners that we would want to light up a little bit, so maybe turn 7, turn 10, maybe the chicane area. But for the most part, the video boards light this place up really, really well, so we don't need to add a whole lot of lighting to make it work well.
And this is kind of a follow-up, and you kind of mentioned it, but it doesn't sound like you'd be adding enough lights where you could consider running on the oval underneath lights or anything like that.
Right now, I would not anticipate adding any lights on our oval at all for the sports car race. I think it would be mostly the internal braking zones where we might need some lighting. So certainly nothing that would impact it or make us have a race on the oval under the lights.
Thank you.
Bruce Martin with Forbes. Some of the areas that may need to be lighted, will you be calling in Musco or a company like that specializes in the temporary lighting, or do you have enough of that already on site?
So Musco is a great partner of ours. They help us light the dirt track. We appreciate working with them. I definitely will talk to them. I don't know that we're going to need that much lighting. This is not going to be a massive project in terms of lighting, so we haven't thought about who the vendor would be or exactly what we need at this point.
But what about like the grandstands, certain areas where people are going to need to see in order
Again, most of our places where we would have folks in the grandstands with the video boards here, it's amazing how well you can see around the facility.
turning the whole infield into camping, how will you be able to reserve the golf course while having people camp?
That's a great point. The golf course obviously is there in the Indy 500 when we put 325,000 people in here, and people are pretty respectful. We do have a little bit of staff that help keep them off. I'm not worried about our golf course with the camping going on. We won't camp on the golf course, but we will camp everywhere else.
Tucker White, last word on sports. Doug, this is getting off topic for a moment. With NASCAR, we've been running the road course both last year and this year. So what in the future, and there's been talks about going back to the oval at some point. So what is the story with that?
Well, I think at this point in time, we're really committed to the road course. We changed to the road course to refresh the Brickyard a little bit. We're excited with the way that it raced in 2020 when we just did Xfinity and the NTT IndyCar Series, and then last year having all three of them together. We're excited about this year. And I think at least in the short term, we're planning on staying on the road course, so I think you can expect at least next year that we'll continue to be on the road course. The racing's been fantastic, and I think we'll see that again this weekend, and our fans have really enjoyed it. Our ticket sales are really strong for this weekend, so it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
And after the, well, lack of a better word, debacle we had with it over, I think it was turn 6 with the multi-car crash there because of the curbs, what work has been done to avoid a repeat of that?
We spent an awful lot of time in the offseason and really started immediately after that weekend trying to think through what the best solution was. So working with a lot of our track folks, working with both the NTT IndyCar Series and both Xfinity and the Cup Series on the NASCAR side. Ultimately, what we've done, we have replaced that chicane curbing in exactly where it was last year, but we put it in a more permanent type of curbing. The curb there last year was a steel bolted down, concrete filled curbing that just allowed the way the Cup cars run. They could put those splitters right on the ground. A splitter got underneath it and started to pull it out throughout the entire day. The curb there now, we've excavated the asphalt, and the ground underneath it is a massive concrete curb. You can't get anything underneath it. The peak to valley on the bumps on there is a little bit more than some of our other curbing, so it's a little bit of a deterrent. But the other thing we've done is we've also eliminated those perpendicular curbs that were there last year that were designed to keep people on the racetrack, and obviously they didn't care, right? So they drove over them anyway. So I think we're in good shape on that curbing. We've had the IndyCar folks ran on it in May. We had the Ferrari Challenge on it here recently with no issues. Obviously, we just got through the first IndyCar practice here and have had no issues. So we feel pretty good about how that's going to race.
All right, thank you.
Steve Conley, the podium finish. John, I want to ask you, a lot of the rumors were about leaving Mid-Ohio to come to this race. How is that going to impact the schedule for next year, and do you have plans for Mid-Ohio moving forward?
Difficult choice, of course, when we have long-term partners across the country with sanction agreements. Just a matter of trying to align with value for the partners, where they want to go, where our teams want to race, and giving an opportunity again to the fans here in the Midwest to come to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So again, future announcements are coming next week about where we'll be racing with all of the IMSA platforms, all 7 of them, in fact. And so we hope to get all of our schedules out next week, and more to come on that.
And was the condition of Mid-Ohio, the track, the amenities, any part of that decision or future decisions?
No, we work with all of our partners, and Doug's talked a lot about lighting. We have to look at all the different elements of each of the facilities we go to. One of the issues, and we're all facing it in our sport, and it's a good problem to have, is increased car counts and being able to fit all of our transporters and teams and partners into a space. So that's played a role in a lot of the facilities where we need to go. And again, we're going to pack this place, so I hope Doug and Mark and Mr. Penske and everybody are ready, because we're going to fill up the infield big time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and there are no further questions on Zoom. So let's give the last word to a man who's actually going to get to race the race. Seb, with your full-time IndyCar days now behind you, and maybe you can speak on behalf of the driver group, does it add an element of excitement knowing that you get to race at the Brickyard again?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's such a mythical place. I've been coming here for many years, and didn't necessarily enjoy the success I was hoping for in IndyCar, but sports cars started on the right foot, so I certainly hope to keep the stretch going. And yeah, I mean, I think everything has been said about how amazing the future looks for sports car racing, and I'm so privileged to be with Cadillac and involved into a works program like that at 43 years old. So I'm super excited, super thankful, and really looking forward to coming back to Indianapolis.
That's going to be fantastic. The Battle on the Bricks next September 15 to 17. Thank you to all of you on YouTube and on Zoom for your participation, and everybody here. Doug, John, Seb, congratulations to the Penske group as well. More happy times, more exciting times ahead here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Have a great weekend. Thank you.